Hello and welcome to Adviser Toolkit. Today I'm going to do a walkthrough of the entire process of starting with signing in, registering, moving through to adding a client and producing some meaningful output. So first we click on the sign in page from the main website, and you'll see there's an option to sign in, or you can register to have an account. Registering to have an account is quite simple. Click on register, enter some basic details and register, and you'll be straight into the system. I already have an account, so excuse me, I'm going to simply sign in, and we'll start by clicking on interviews, and you'll see there's a plus button at the top here, and that's how you create a new interview. We click on that and we type in some dummy client information. My favourite client is Spacely's Sprockets. And I'll skip this information and just take us straight down to the first decision point, and that is, are you confident with your insurance requirements? Which is a really good question to ask any client, and if we say no, the rest of the questionnaire is greyed out and we're thrown into a different routine. And what we can do is, let's say, pick one of these categories of occupation. We then say they're a private company. Basically just simple information about the client that they should know just in a macro sense. 20 million turnover, say 40 employees. Again, these figures can be rough. We'll say they do have staff and or contractors that use their own vehicle. We'll say they're not purchasing labour hire or contracting services. They do not have volunteer workers. They do produce their own marketing. They have a website. I think virtually every client would say yes to that. They do offer credit terms to their clients. They're not raising capital from a public offering of securities. They do store data and rely on a computer network for day-to-day operations, which again, virtually every client would. They do travel internationally and or interstate. They own business vehicles. They don't have marine vessels. They don't have aircraft. We'll put in just a rough number here for buildings that they own, a rough number for equipment. We'll say they spend $40,000 on a marketing event, 50% rate of gross profit, and we'll say they need 24 months to return to full trading volume. Obviously that might take you a little longer to discuss through those issues with a client, but it's a really good discussion to have. Now when we click save, we just have to go back up the form, you'll see that instead of the question, are you confident with your insurance requirements, being no, it says yes, because now we have a risk profile to discuss. So we click on that green button, and we are provided with a list of risks and covers that have been generated based on the occupation of the client and the answers to those other questions. And we can PDF that to email to the client. Now that form's very plain because we will be adding some branding features in the next couple of weeks, so you can put your own brand on that, and some other words or text that you like, or your text field at the bottom, and deliver that to client as if it's your own report, which it is because you're a subscriber. So once you've had a chat through that list with the client, and that's optional, well, you don't have to fill that in. You can just say, yes, we're confident, and get on with filling in the rest of the form. But it's a good opportunity to run a sales session about different covers. But we've said yes, and now we're going to start entering some of the covers that are required by this client. I'm not going to get, in fact, what I will do is go into one that I have already prepared earlier for our good friends at Spacely Sprockets. Okay, so I've just loaded one I prepared earlier for Spacely Sprockets. You'll see that you can bring up the risk profile at any time, so if you've already done it, that's fine. When you see the client, or if you want to revisit it while you're going through the routine, you can just bring that up because it's saved. And you can see there that we've ticked a whole lot of cover, in fact all the covers they could possibly have. So, and a few extras which aren't yet programmed. What you'll see is here there's additional insurance cover required. These are the covers that we will be programming over the next couple of months, with cyber and privacy risks due to come out in about 2 weeks' time. But at the very least, you're recording that the client has an interest in that, and you may have to collect information offline, but we'll be addressing that very quickly, because the idea of this product is that you can collect every piece of information for all those products. But certainly we've got most of them programmed there. If you just have a quick look at that list, that's the lion's share of things you'll be talking to a commercial insurance or a corporate insurance client about. And then we go, there is an option to, down the track, we might even have an option to include clients as a collaborator on collecting this information, which could be very handy, and even use this as a contact form. But in this case, we'll say, yes, you can contact us. We're going to complete this information online. So then we start filling in some limits of cover, which I've already done. So I've put in some limits that are appropriate. And again, this is a quote situation, so they may change as you go closer to placement. There's room for a number of entity types, entity names and types. And if you want to add another entity, all you need to do is press that little plus button and you get room for another entity. And you'll see those plus buttons all the way through this routine. Basically, that's just an opportunity to add further information for the client. Consolidated net assets, which is required for directors and officers, which is one of the things we've selected. It'll take uninsured working expenses because we've asked for business interruption cover, and you can add as many of those as you like. Ask information, basically all the information that you're going to need to arrange pricing on all of those covers is included in this form. Claims history, details of actions to prevent recurrence of claims, staffing numbers. And look, we've left it very well spread out. It's not configured for mobile phones yet, but within the next couple of weeks we'll have that sorted as well, and that's why these questions are spaced out. It'll be a lot easier to do on a mobile phone. I wouldn't recommend you do everyone on a mobile phone, but at a pinch it's better than a beer coaster or a takeaway menu. Payroll options. I don't need to go into too much detail about all these questions, but they are all here, and you basically just follow the bouncing ball right through to the end. And you know, we've picked every cover under the sun here, so this is going to be a very large questionnaire. And if you didn't select all those covers, it'll be a small questionnaire, but it's the questionnaire that is required for that particular client. So we'll just go down to the end here. And we will save that. You notice there's room to put in existing policies if you're reviewing a program that's not currently with you. So we will click on save. And once we've saved it, we just find our record, and there's 3 options here when you find your record. And if you're having trouble, if you've got a lot of records, you can just use the search function that's native in whatever browser you're using. In this case, I've gone Control F, and I can type Spacely, and you can see there's a few, but I'll find my client, and I can either click on that little magnifying glass, which will take me back into the entry for which we just exited from. But the next option, there's a little print icon, and that takes us to a record of interview, which gives us every single response the client's given us. So we can report that back to the client. We can PDF that, and we can use a PDF sharing program if you want to get that authorised, or you can print it and have them sign it, or you can just email it to them and keep a copy of the email as sufficient evidence that they've been informed. And that's their opportunity to review that and tell you if there's anything that's not quite right. And then back to the menu to go into this wrench. The wrench is an application form builder. The first question is, by continuing, you agree to take full responsibility for checking all forms and are accurate prior to submission for any purpose. So you do need to make sure that this is as you want it. And if you see any problems with it that are to do with our system, we're happy to respond to those very, very quickly. You've got authority to quote an appointment of replacement advisor options here. So if we click on appointment of replacement advisor, you'll find that you now have a letter of appointment. It includes the claims history and the existing policies. You can type in the signatory's name, and that's editable in case the person signing it is not the person who's provided you the information in the interview stage. You can see the spell check works as well, so that's native in the browser. That can be handy. So then we go back up the top, we can have a quick look at that, and we're happy with it. We click on this print icon again and we get a PDF, and again that can be branded. We'll have that feature soon, but that works just fine right now. And then we decide, well, we want to arrange an ISR policy, so we're going to click on property loss, and we're going to click on business interruption. There's your options down there. We start reviewing that document before we print it, and you'll see there's where we put in an inception date. So, you know, obviously there might be different inception dates for different policies, so there's full flexibility for doing that. And an expiry date, so this one's going to be 12 months. But if it's not, that's catered for. All the revenue information is annualised, so the premium can be prorated to account for the short term rather than providing short-term revenue. Preferred standard access, we put that in. That's not really a feature of the inherent in the client's business. It's not what their building's made of. So all the features of the client are recorded in the interview. Some of the features of the cover or the quote you're looking for are then recorded in this application form builder. You can see it's accumulated all the values that we've entered across a number of locations. I skimmed over that, but there's actually 2 locations on that interview. So when you have a play around, you'll see that, and it adds it up. We also asked about burglary, and they said 30,000 was their maximum exposure. We can change that. Accidental damage, we can put in an accidental damage limit. It might be wise to make that pretty high. And money, well, they've sworn on a stack of Bibles they don't have any money, so we'll put 0. not cash anyway. Now, then you can see business locations. We've got location 1 address, and then it gives these separate values for the 2 locations for the underwriter to review. So it's aggregated the numbers, but it's also giving us the individual declared values per location. We've got some mobile property in there, and that's been included as well. We move on to the business interruption section, and we want a nil excess with a 48-hour deductible for time. And then it has added up it's basically calculated the global business interruption. And behind the scenes, it has deducted some uninsured working expenses. There's dual payroll basis, so it's worked out the weeks at various percentages. It's taken the gross sales and adjusted and calculated the gross profit out of those sales. So all of that information has happened behind the scenes, and that means that these numbers will be completely consistent with the numbers declared on the product liability application form when we get to that. Claims preparation costs, we can put in a healthy limit for that. Additional cost of workings if we wanted. I'll skip through these because everyone will have their own preference. And then we get to combined limit of indemnity, which we do need to add up here, but I mean it should be fairly simple. Grab a calculator and work out, but I'm going to say that's around 9 million on the section 2. And then we can put in some sub-limits. $500,000 for prevention of access, $500,000 for loss of utilities. It's just down to what you can negotiate. And then you'll see that there's declared values per location or information per location in support of the interruption application as well. So you see the declared values there: rental income, product gross profit, service revenue, value added, payroll, the various weeks that you want covered at 100%, 75%, 50%, 25%. Uninsured working expenses have been deducted. And then you've got location risk information. So that's common for property and business interruption. So it has a little section of its own. And it's got all the construction details, fire protection, security protection. And then we come down to the signature. So if you'd like to get that signed, then there's a little print icon at the very top, which you print, and you get a PDF, and you can share the PDF and get it digitally signed, or you can print it or email it or do whatever you like with that. But importantly, all that information is now available if you do have API or some automation of the next step in this process. You can program that automation, and it will then pick up the data is available for those products. And that's basically it. We could do more application forms. I'll just quickly show you what some of they're all there. And depending on the application form you select, is exactly the information you get. So if you click on management liability, this is an interesting one. What you'll find is that there is a claims history, cover period, retroactive date comes in, continuity date comes in, the limits come across, and then you get a financial summary. So it actually adds up all the information from the rest of the application form to summarise revenue, but rather than have revenue split between product and service, it's split between jurisdiction, because that's what the management liability insurer is going to be interested in. It includes key staff, which you've entered because you wanted management liability. You can see it's got workforce numbers and some different risk information. So about termination of employment policy, written equal opportunity policy, the things that the management liability underwriter will want to see. And it excludes the information they don't want to see. So it's far superior to sending through some global questionnaire. This is tailored for the transaction. And again, you can type in a different name depending on who's actually going to be signing this. So it's Cosmo again, and then press print. And that's basically the program in a nutshell. Thanks very much.